Hello, my name is Mrs. Burns. I have the pleasure of being your student's biology teacher this year. And we've only had a few classes so far, but I've already seen how open-minded your students are and how eager they are to take on whatever the school year may bring. And I know it's going to bring some times of transition, but I also know that we have such a connected community, a great set of students, and a dedicated staff, and we're all working together to make sure that we can get this year to be as great as it can be. So before I go on, I just want to make you aware of my email. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions. I've also let your students know to CC you in any emails they send my way, just to make sure we're all on the same page. In terms of my journey to teaching, I have my Bachelor's of Science from UCSD in biology, and I have a focus on ecology, animal behavior, and evolution. So with that, after graduating, I went to Costa Rica and I did research on sloths as well as a lot of rehabilitation work, so I got to work with these cute guys hands-on. And then once I returned back to San Diego, I continued my research and rehabilitation work with California sea lions and seals. And during the process of all of this research and rehabilitation, I was also extremely active in our citizen science programs. Essentially, the process of citizen science is connecting the community with the research that we're conducting and connecting them with the discoveries that they make, connecting them with the importance of science. And I found that I was so passionate about citizen science that it only made sense to continue to pursue this by becoming a teacher. And so I got my master's degree from the University of San Diego, so I have a master's in curriculum and design. In terms of designing my classroom culture, the main thing that's really important to me is facilitating a growth mindset. So a growth mindset, if you're not aware, is essentially the ability to make mistakes and keep going. The mindset of, I can't yet. And this is really important because research shows that having a growth mindset is one of the best skills that you can give to your students. And so encouraging my students that making mistakes is just a path on the road to success is something that's really important to me. Now, because of that, I also focus on mastery over just a focus on grades and percentages. So encouraging my students to have the desire to learn, to master, to understand, and connect a subject will then lead to them getting better grades rather than just focusing on, at the end of the day, what is the percentage. And finally, encouraging this through respect. Now, your students and I worked together on creating a respect agreement, and I was very eager to know how I could be respecting them. And the main thing that I heard from students was by just making sure that I'm not over-assigning homework or assignments. And I know that's because they have a lot to do. They have extracurriculars, they have other class assignments. And so, because research has shown that homework really isn't that effective, at the end of the day, after a certain point, it just starts to add stress. I told the students, well, I will respect you and your time by only assigning homework if it's necessary, or have your homework be an extension of what we could not finish in class. In return, if you could respect my time by when you are in class showing up, being present, and putting your best foot forward, then we'll have a great class. And for the class year, for semester 1, we're going through science of biology, ecology, the chemistry of life, cell structure and function, and energy in life. Semester 2, we're going through DNA and protein synthesis, as well as cell cycle, genetics, heredity, and meiosis, evolution, and the implications of knowledge if we have time, because that's always one of my favorite parts. Some things that you might need to know in terms of my policies to help support your students. In terms of resubmissions, students are allowed to resubmit as many times as they'd like before the deadline. After the deadline has passed, they're allowed one resubmission. So both times they will get feedback, as much feedback as they'd like, for as many times as they'd like to resubmit before the deadline. And then after the deadline, once again, one resubmission. And this just allows them to continue to try and work for their personal best. In terms of absences, if a student is absent, all of the information that they'll need is on Schoology. If it's not on Schoology, then they are welcome to email me and we can work together to get them back to speed. In terms of test retakes, students are allowed one retake per test, and the score will be reduced by 10% for that retake. With late work, students are allowed to submit late work. They will receive a 10% reduction in the grade for each day that it's late. After 5 days has passed, the max that they can receive is 50%, and that ends at the end of each quarter. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Once again, here's my email for you. Otherwise, you can find me on Schoology. Thank you so much. Roll on.